KBI Community. Today we'll be talking to Jordan Patterson, the band director at Thornburg Middle School. Jordan is a Fredericksburg native, having gone to Battlefield Middle School, Chancellor High School, and the University of Mary Washington for his music degree. Join me as we learn a little bit more about why Jordan is such a valued member in our community. Thank you for joining me today, Jordan.
Yep.
I'm really excited to learn more about you and share you with our community.
Sounds good.
So I always really like to start at the beginning. So when did you first start playing an instrument?
Sixth grade. So yeah, sixth grade, and then we didn't have an opportunity to start earlier at that point. It's always been sixth grade here. You usually start singing or playing any instrument like that. So
did you go to school here?
I did. I went to Battlefield Middle School, where I had Nancy Randall, who is now in South Carolina, and then I went to Chancellor High School. So I'm from this area. I'm very familiar with everything here.
I didn't know that.
So, yep.
Cool. So what instrument did you choose?
I started on trumpet.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I started on trumpet. That is all I touched through middle school and most of high school. Once I got to my junior, senior year, I decided that I wanted to be able to teach all of them. So I kind of started to experiment with like brass instruments mostly. Woodwind scared me at that point still. So I just kind of took up like brass, like trombone, things like that. And then I got to college, and I just became really interested in all the other instruments, not just teaching wise, but the different functions they play in band and the different parts they play and all that. So I took private flute lessons for 2 years. I did private clarinet for 2 years. Saxophone was enough like clarinet that I just kind of did it on my own and just studied it like that. Percussion I did 3 years on, and then it's not instrument related, but I did vocal lessons for 2 years just in case. I didn't know what I was going to teach getting out of college,
yeah.
So it's like, just in case.
So now that's why I never knew what instrument you played. Yes. I was like, he plays everything. I don't know which one is his. So the trumpet would be your
trumpet is my main. Yeah.
Instrument. Okay. And then at what point then, I know you said you were interested in all of the instruments. At what point did you decide maybe you're going to teach music?
So 7th grade is when I kind of like made that goal. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And at that point I was still young, so it's what I wanted to do. I don't think I knew all that it entailed. I just knew I wanted to do something with music, and I enjoyed the classroom aspect of it. Once I got to high school, then it was kind of solidified. We started applying to colleges, we're juniors, things like that. And that's when I was like, this is what I want to do. While everyone else is like, I don't know what I want to do. At that point, I thought I wanted to teach high school, though. And then I did my student teaching in high school with Ryan Adair, and then elementary with Andrea DePaul over at Brock Road. And I loved both of them. And I thought I would hate elementary, but I loved it. It was fun. It was just really fun. It was different, but not in a bad way. It was just really fun. And then the first job I got was middle school, even though that's not where I was student taught. And then once I taught my first year of middle school, I was like, this is what I like, actually. So I kind of have experience in all of them. So I was lucky in that sense, where I did my student teaching in the two that I ended up not doing, and then got my first job in the one I didn't student teach in, because I know now this is what all of them are like.
Yes, yeah.
So, but it was really solidified in high school when I applied for college. But it started in 7th grade, where I was like, I love this.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So who do you think was most influential for you as a musician throughout all those years?
Oh, geez. As a musician,
maybe not most everybody.
It's kind of. So it really started with my middle school band director. I mean, Nancy really inspired me to do what I do. She made me love it. And I think she's a huge reason why I like the classroom part of it. As far as the musician part, it's so hard to say, because I've met so many great musicians, from all the guest conductors we get to people I've played along with. I mean, I could point out almost every trumpet player I played along with in high school and say they pushed me to be better. They inspired, that kind of deal. So I don't know if I could really pick one, but I would say that Nancy is the one that spurred everything. And then from then on out, everyone that I kind of studied with or played along with, I took something from each one of them. Just kind of a piece from every one of them that I think makes me love what I do, and the way that I do it, I take pieces from everybody. So it's hard to say one. Sorry, I know that was a bad answer.
That's okay. That's good. I mean, we're a community,
right?
It's a musician community, and everybody influences us somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And you went to college around here too, right?
I did. I actually went to Christopher Newport my first year.
Okay.
And I moved back home for family reasons, and it ended up being better because I commuted, so it was cheaper.
Oh.
I'm still paying on student loans, just so we're clear, but it was cheaper to commute. So I went to Mary Washington, yeah. And I did my bachelor's there, and then I did a master's in education leadership through Walden University Online.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So then, how long have you been a teacher now?
This is year 11. Yes, I taught 2 years in South Carolina, and then this is my 9th year here. So it's insane. I mean, 11 is not really that long in the grand scheme of things, but it feels long.
Well, now it's like you finally feel like you have your feet under you.
Right, exactly. I know. It took 11 years.
And so, have you taught middle school the whole time?
Yes. Yep. Taught middle school the whole time. Officially, I've helped out with some high schools. So like when I taught in South Carolina, I assisted with the marching band there for the 2 years I was there. And then I've assisted Corey up until this year. So that was, I think it was my 2nd year here at Thornburg. So I've worked with them for 6 years, 6 or 7 years. Yeah. So.
And what do you normally do with the marching bands?
Usually I help with music. So I do all the music. I don't know much. I did marching band throughout high school, but I'm not a marcher. Like I know the terms and things. Don't have me demonstrate them. But I did the music part because that was my knowledge. That was my field. So.
Cool. All right. And I know you said you like the classroom part, but what is really like the best part about teaching middle school?
The best part about teaching middle school is the banter with the kids. Like that's hilarious. I mean, they can take a joke and it like things just, they're tough. Like things roll off their skin. And I know that's weird to say that because they're also like an emotional mess at the same time. But they're tough, they're resilient. You know, one minute you say something and they're laughing about it. The next minute they're crying about something that someone threw from them around the room. You know, it's like, and I also, that's another thing that I like about it is the change. It's never the same every day. I come in with plans. This is what we're going to get done. We're going to do this. And we always get the plans done, but how we get there changes every day. And I like that because it keeps me on my toes. You know, no matter how much I plan, I have to be like mentally there 100% of the time. And it keeps my job really interesting. And I like that. So, I mean, I think that's a huge part of it. So the banter and just really interacting with the kids, I just enjoy all of that part of it outside of the classroom part of it. So.
Do you have any favorite band director stories? Since we're talking about kids.
So, okay, so it's kind of a gross one, but that's okay. It's middle school. So, well, actually, this was when, I have 2 stories. So one of them was my first year teaching at Thornburg, and there was a kid who was just very interested in what we were doing. She chose flute, and she was really interested and ready to go. So I'm going through all the spiel about bring your instruments this day. This is where you store them in the instrument room, you know, all that good stuff. And she raises her hand, and we're going through questions. There were a lot of good questions, and I get to her, and she says, "Can I bring my flute to dinner to practice?" And I said, "Sure. I mean, if your parents want you to." She said, "No, we eat out." I said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm not really sure if you should do that, but if you really want to do it, I guess you can." Like that was just one of those
practice, I guess,
right,
you know?
right. The questions are always a funny part. I got another kid when we went to Hershey Park. We do that with 8th grade every year, and this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And he just had nonstop questions about the charter bus. He wanted to know what number they were, what line they were, and I don't know if he had something with charter buses. I don't know. But I mean, those are always interesting, all of the questions and everything. The story about me when I was a student was I had Mr. Lipscomb at Chancellor, who was really intense and, you know, and so I'm really bad about having laughing attacks. So when I start laughing, that's it. I mean, you know, so I'm playing trumpet and I know he's going to yell at me if he sees me laughing. So I couldn't hold the laughter and snot just went everywhere because I'm trying to play as I'm laughing. So I'm waiting for that to happen to one of my kids because I'll have been there. I can laugh at somebody else for that happening. So, yeah.
I always check to make sure if anyone has band director stories.
Right.
It's gotta be great. You
Oh
know?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Along those lines, do you have something that you always say and your kids are like, "Oh, he's gonna say that again"? Your band director saying.
Right. So I have a few things. Number one, they know my thing is 3 times. So you do it once, you could have gotten lucky. You do it twice, it could be really good luck. I want your luck if you do it twice. 3 times is skill. So I'm always telling them that. I'm always talking about sound, and they're always laughing at me when I give adjectives for sound. I'm always using big, fat, fit those kind of sounds that they think are funny. They think those words are funny. So those are probably the two main things that I'm always saying in their ear all the time. So.
Cool. What was your most memorable music experience as a band director or musician or?
Oh man.
Maybe I did have hard questions.
That is a hard question. I have a lot in my head. I'm trying to think of like the most impactful one. I think, recently I had a child that reached out to me who is now in college. And this child said, I stayed after with them every week to just do kind of like private lessons in a way. I was trying to really build the program here, and I had a lot of kids who were really interested and wanted more. And I had no idea at this time that this child did not have financial means to do that. I had no idea about the backstory. I just knew this child wanted to play more and wanted to learn more. And so I got an email from this child the other day saying that I had no idea what it meant to them when I did that, because they wanted to do private lessons, but they couldn't because they couldn't financially afford it. And so that I had no idea, but that opportunity that was given to them, that it meant more to them than I know. And I just think that is something that just really speaks to, and I don't know, it's hard to say, it's hard to put it into words, but I think that that's something that we all need to hear from time to time, that just, you did this and you didn't know you did this, but it was really impactful to me. And I think that that's probably one of the stories, and I have a few like that, but I mean, that is one that really just kind of hits home to me, that I think is very impactful.
And something that will stick with you.
Yes, yeah.
Keep doing something right.
Right. And now when I when I do work with a kid one-on-one, that could be, and now that'll kind of enter my mind where that might be their situation. So let me give this 110%. Because to me, it's another private lesson, or it's just, I'm working with this kid for 5 minutes, but to them, it could be something different. And so that kind of thing along those, like you were saying, everything's kind of along the same lines with music, but I mean, along the same lines, most of the stories or memories have to do with that, where it's that one kid. And then you have the ensemble stuff, where you take first place at this competition or, whatnot. And that's always a really fun experience too, but I think the individual experience means more. That ensemble experience is wonderful for the ensemble. It's great for the program. It's great for the name. It's great for going crazy and clapping, but I think the individual one is the thing that really sticks with kids more, or most, rather, so.
Right. So cool. So I guess kind of as a wrap-up question, if you were to give advice to a budding musician or someone who wanted to go to school to be a band director, what would you tell them?
Be open and use your resources, because you may think that you know something, and you may know some of it, but there's always more to it. Always, for example, with clarinet players, it's still a science to me, like why a squeak happens. There are 50 million reasons, and you can't get inside their mouth and look and see what's going on, And so I think for me, I am always nerding out and looking up, clarinet pages, or picking clarinet people's minds. Like, why do you think squeaks happen? And I get a different answer from every one of them, or the same answer but said in a different way. And so I just think being open to, I know reasons why squeaks can happen, but I don't know every one of them. And so it's kind of just like learning and like, oh, well, that person said it that way. That works better. I'm going to take that. So I think being open and not ever thinking you know all of it, because none of us do. And you just have to be open and know your resources. I mean, when you have people that are willing to give you information, listen. Because even if they may not have a stellar program or a great reputation, they still have something that is extremely worth taking, knowledge-wise, taking from them. So I just think to anybody that wants to become a teacher, be open and know that you can ask people for help. You can ask people to come in and listen, hang on every word they say, because that's how you'll learn. Right, that's how you'll learn it. So I just think the biggest thing is be open. And I'll kind of along with that, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I mean, I have tried lessons before where it's like crickets, empty faces. Oh, crap, that didn't work. You go on to the next thing, and then that's when you consult somebody. Hey, I'm at a loss. Like, these kids are not getting dotted quarter notes at all. What do you do? And then you just kind of get more information, and that causes you to be open, because if you have that really, arrogant or like staunch kind of teaching style, then you never grow as a teacher, and you can't expect your kids to grow if you're not doing it with them. So I just think that's the biggest thing, is be open. Be open to ideas, be open to failing, be open to, to people. Let people come in. Don't be afraid they're going to judge you on your rehearsal technique. Let them come in and tell you what's wrong so you can learn from it. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Cool. Well, thank you for all of your knowledge and stories. And I'm really grateful to have you as part of our community.
Thank you, Abby.